Hello. I didn't see you there. Tonight, something a little different is going to happen. Tonight, I'm going to take you into a podcast without John, a podcast of sound, of sight, of mind. You better buckle your seatbelts, because up is down, left is right. The best fantasy team in the league is 1-5. But that's what happens when, dun dun dun, you enter the Kirk zone. Evening, gents. Yeah, so this is a Kirk cast. You might be wondering why have I got the shades on? Probably going to take them off because of the reflection. But why do I have them on right now? Why am I dressed up in the suit? Is it just for the Twilight Zone bit at the beginning? No, it wasn't a very good bit anyway. I dressed up in the suit because it's business now. From now on, there's no more funny stuff. This is business from here on out, okay? And there's no more casual Fridays, shit like that. That's not going to fly anymore. My team's 1-5, but guess what? I'm down but not out. I'm putting the league on notice right now. Everyone's still watching because the intro just ended. I know you all fucking skip it. I'm fucking coming. I'm not going to lose again. Fucking telling you right now. That's the end. There's no more losing. It's just how it's going to be. It's just, I'm just the messenger. There's no more losing, okay? That's how it is. I'm winning out. All right. I got to stop because I get fucking cringe when I look at this stuff and it's just me. Anyways, let me share my screen here. We're going to jump right into it. We're going to jump right into the matchups, the music, the pageantry. What a 2 weekends it was. I'm only going to review kind of one weekend. Maybe I'll mention some other things that have happened, but I don't want to do too much here on my own. You know, it's going to be a lot of just fucking me talking at you guys. Sorry about that, gents. I went into a little segment there, and I just felt like I wasn't feeling it. So I decided I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to go into the scoring for last week and just kind of tell you the relevance of each win and each game and outlook. Because going through each players on my own is just, it's a lot of me talking, and it's like I have to make the connections before I say it. It's hard without John here to bounce ideas off of. So I'm just gonna go into it, tell you a little general overview of how I think each team, what each win means, what the trajectory is for each team, and how I feel about them, and then I'll get into the tier list, and then really quickly review picks, and I think that'll be a pretty short one today. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the Jack Sommer. So obviously Sommers drops to 1-5. Is like, I don't know how many weeks in a row he's had. Okay, I was trying to open that in a new link, but whatever. I'm just trying to see how many weeks in a row he's had under 100 points, or how many weeks in total. He's had 1, 2, 3 of 6 weeks under 100, 2 weeks of 104. It's just not his year, man. I mean, this is the worst team, I think, in fantasy this year in our league. He has Dalvin Cook, which is nice, but other than that, there's not much upside here, and I think Will knows that. And I think there's a lot of it, the risks he took this year just didn't pan out. And it's a tough league. This is where you find yourself when you take some risks, they don't pan out, and you get some injuries. Whatever. I don't think this team was destined to do great things anyway, the original roster. And so you compound that with some unfortunate circumstances, and this is the result. One of a team that can barely score 100. So, it's unfortunate for Will, but I think we'll likely see him way more energized next year. I mean, he never even changed his name or his logo from last year. Didn't feel like a normal Will year, First round exit. I mean, he's gonna have to change it to I'm not even close. I'm not even gonna sniff the playoffs. Or something along those lines. Okay, Martelli Moneyballer. Speaking of people that, this is the same logo he's had for like 4 years. I swear to God. I do want to say, trending up. I don't want to get carried away. He beat Will, 113. Not horrible. Like, I think a little below average league average scoring. But, certainly not a week you usually win, but obviously he's had some fortuitous moments in his schedule. But I do think the team's trending up. I mean, look, Amari Cooper, Michael Pittman, Alvin Kamara, three names who I think a few weeks ago I don't think anything of them. And now I'm thinking, hey, Alvin Kamara's pretty good. Michael Pittman's pretty good. Amari Cooper's pretty good. They're pretty. I'm not super thrilled, but I think the team has some pieces that I like. I really love Dameon Pierce personally. I think he's very exciting. I think he has super exciting future too. And even this year, I think he projects as, borderline RB1. So I think the team actually is going to be a lot better. But we need Jack to, like start making some decisions that make a little bit more sense. Like don't play the Lions defense when they're ranked 32nd. And they average negative points per game. And then you start them against me last week. And like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Or whatever, whenever he did start them. I can't remember if he played me last week, whatever it was. Don't do that, right? Don't play Russell Wilson when he averages, 14 points per game. He's the 16th ranked quarterback. There's 10 teams in the league, man. You got to be able to find someone better than this. I mean, and most of that's from what? 1 week he had 30 points. He ain't doing it again. He ain't. And he's on prime time every week. You're watching him suck. You got to go get a different guy there. So I think Jack wakes up a little bit here. He could be a competitive team. I don't love his chances. I still don't think even with, some of the fortuitous things that have happened to his team, I don't love it. I think he needs some bounces to go his way, but hey, I'm in the same boat. So anyways, let's kick it over to Dev Prego. And, let's start with Prego's team, who I think you could argue I think I would say Will is the worst team, but Will Sommer, but I think you could argue Prego. I think a lot of these trades, looking back, we didn't like him at the time, then it kind of worked out for a little bit. We're like, maybe it's not the worst end of the world, but the running back situation is not clear for him. And James Robinson, I just think he had a lot of guys who maybe could be RB1s, and it doesn't seem like it's going to pan out. I don't love either of these guys. I personally am low on Jerry Jeudy. Jamar Chase is the upside here, and I think that might be why I like his team more than Sommers. Is this guy can go off, right? 32 this week. I think he's capable of 50, honestly. Mike Williams has that same capability, so maybe you could get that 1 week, but I don't know. I just don't love the upside here. I don't love the floor. And the result is, I think, a pretty weak squad. And he's also 1-5, tied for the worst record in the league with two other players, Sommer and myself. Flipping over to Devin, 5-1. Devin improves to 5-1, and I mean, you'd have to argue he's one of the best teams in the league. You could argue probably the best, but I think it's pretty obvious why he's so strong. There's no real weak spots in the roster. Like, I know Benjamin is actually Josh Jacobs. Terry McLaurin's no longer there. He has David Montgomery. But, T. Higgins is his actual wide receiver too. So, I mean, David Montgomery at flex, it's not the end of the world. DeAndre Hopkins, maybe when he comes back. And then, obviously, Kelsey is so nice to have. And I think there's actually a pretty interesting thing we could look at is two people who picked tight ends really high are, I think you could say they have the best teams right now. Maybe. I mean, you could always argue it, but I think I would say best teams right now. So I mean, solid week for Dev. I mean, he gets Josh Jacobs back, which is actually pretty huge for him. And I mean, not a bad week scoring, like about average for league average again. So, nice to get a win there, and he improves to 5-1, and I mean, he's cruising. Playoffs are foregone conclusion. He's just trying to think, what can I do to make this roster as good as possible? And try and get that bye, or pick my opponent in round one and just secure everything. Okay, let's talk Mark John. Huge win for Mark here. Really hurts my chances. I needed Mark to keep losing, but pretty good week. It was a close game here. Haven't really looked into this yet. I mean, Deion Jackson. Who is this guy? 28. Yeah, John called me up. He goes, some Jackson, D Jackson. I was like, Deshaun Jackson? Who is this guy? 28 points. Brutal. Outscore Saquon Barkley. Leonard Fournette had a good week. Hey, everyone had a pretty solid week. No one had a horrible week except maybe Curtis Samuel. And, everyone had meh weeks. Tom Brady had a bad week. Curtis Samuel had a bad week. And everyone else good to above average, above average to good. And you get about almost 130. Good week. It's huge for his outlook going forward, I think, because I think Mark is a middle of the road team here in the league, especially without, Jonathan Taylor. So you have to like getting that win over a pretty good team. And it just profiles well for him to make the playoffs. He's just got to tread water to make the playoffs, right? I think you go 500 this year, got a good shot. Because the bottom four teams, excuse me, sorry, are going to be Jack, probably. I like Jack's team actually over Prego and Sommer, who I think are definitely locks to miss the playoffs this year. Then I'm sitting there at 1-5. I'm going to get to my team later, but he has like his work cut out for him still. He needs to at least try and get over 500, I think, but this is a huge step towards doing that. And I think came at a big time, missing Taylor, and maybe Akers can get traded somewhere, and who knows, maybe he's got some explosiveness left in him. So you never know for Mark, but I personally think this is where he's looking at maybe a 6 seed, maybe a 5. I don't love his team personally, but I do think he has a good shot at that 6 seed. Let's talk about John here. John has gotten pretty unlucky, it seems like. And man, it really hurts to have a 16-point game from Cooper Kupp this week. Only 8 targets. Weird week for Cooper Kupp, and I don't know exactly what his situation is going forward. I think he's got Kupp going into a bye now. I don't know. I think record-wise, Josh might be might be stressing himself a little bit, but I think if he calms down, let cooler heads prevail. This roster is still very talented. I think, though, that we're starting to see a gap between, I would say, the top 3 teams and John. We'll get to that with the tier list, but I think I would argue that as of now, John's team isn't quite the juggernaut we thought it was, but it's still a very good team. I think he's still top 5 in scoring, and he's still okay. 3-3, doesn't need to panic. Again, he can even lose next week. He's still going to have, no matter what, they'll still be in the 6 seed. Both these teams could lose next week, still be in the 6 seed. So at worst. So don't panic or anything. He's just got to find a way to win these close games, and might be hard next week without Kupp. That's certainly a possibility. But hey, maybe Ramondre Stevenson is starting to skyrocket here against Chicago next week. Love that matchup. So anyway, he doesn't need to panic. Playoffs are still in sight. All right, let's talk Sheriff here. And I'm going to give Sheriff some love here because he has a pretty huge situation where Keenan Allen's coming back. And I think if you plug Keenan Allen into this team and you find a flex, which still, yes, he has to find a flex play. His team ain't bad. His team ain't bad at all. I mean, he has RB1 and 2 right now. Chubb and Eckler. He's a serviceable quarterback. I like this more than Joe Burrow. I think he's paying attention to the quarterback situation more than, I like this more than Russell Wilson. I mean, I think he's paying attention more to the quarterback situation than some other people in our league. And, I think he profiles as one of the better teams in the league, honestly, with this RB situation as it is. If you can figure out the flex, I'm not saying, he doesn't have to do that. He still has to do that. Because looking at this team, where is the flex? But if you have RB1 and 2, you're hard to beat. All right. So I personally think gets Keenan Allen back, gets the flex figured out. Sheriff's cruising. Not only that, but he's 4-2. 4-2. I don't know if Sheriff's ever won 4 games before in a season. He's done it in week 6. I mean, that was a little mean. He won 8 games last year, I think, but in week 6, he's won 4 games. I mean, that's incredible. We're looking at a 10-win Sheriff this year. I mean, too early to say, right? But wow. As for Santi, this is going to be hard to say, but we had Santi here, like I think the last time we did the tier rankings at 1. To me, Santi's team is clearly not among the 3 best teams in this league. I would argue it might not be among the 5 best teams in this league in terms of roster. And it's starting to be painfully obvious because Christian Kirk, he ain't all that. And obviously he could use Derrick Henry back. I mean, I think honestly that was a little harsh because a lot of injuries and stuff, but I just don't love the upside, especially if Lamar Jackson's not scoring 40, you know, then Stephon Diggs is doing all the carrying for this really, I mean, let's tell it how it is, mediocre roster. I mean, Irv Smith, Christian Kirk, Miles Sanders, Devin Singletary, James Conner, you know, I just it's just meh to me. Um, Now, obviously, let's talk about record. He's 5-1, so I think he's fine. He doesn't need to panic. Um, but I think you know I was considering him as a contender for that bye. I personally don't like him to get the bye anymore. I think he's looking at maybe a 4, 5, 6 seed. Personally, I think with the way his roster's playing, with the way it's developing, and I don't want to be too harsh. Like Stephon Diggs is I think wide receiver one for sure. Yeah, outplaying Cup, which is insane because Cup probably has 40 more targets. But I just I don't know. He's got Diggs on bye next week. Um, Connor's still injured. It's Thursday right now. I'm pretty sure the game's going on. And I don't know. I'm just not there. I'm not there. Flip it over to me. Under 100 from me. Tough week. I had a lot of buys. So I mean, I made do with what I could. I think personally, I'm looking up. 1-5 right now. I know everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Kirk, why are you shitting on the other 1-5 teams? Why are you shitting on yourself?" Because my roster is better. I'm better. I'm better than them. I am. I'm a lot better. My roster is significantly better than them. I'm losing close games. Obviously, this week I didn't lose a close game, but I had a bunch of buys. I mean, when my roster's healthy, I'm better than these scrubs. I'm telling you that right now. And I'm coming for these 3-3 teams. I'm just telling you how it's just the facts, guys. I am coming for the 3-3 team. I'm likely not to lose again. Play Santi next week. I'm gonna fucking embarrass him. I mean, I'm gonna do it. I'm calling him out right now. Does he even listen to the pod? I don't care. What are you gonna do about it? Stop me. I'm gonna embarrass you next week. And I'm gonna put the league on notice. And I think Josh is pretty happy right now because he gets to sit there. Yeah, I scored 130. 130 is not going to get it done against me most weeks. It's not. Going forward, it's simply not. Simply not. It won't do it. I got the young guns coming. Kenneth Walker, Brees Hall. It's not going to get it done 130. I think Josh is sitting there thinking, I escaped. I escaped, I think he's thinking that personally. I mean, no Amon-Ra, no Devontae Adams, no DeAndre Swift. I got DeAndre Swift back next week. I got DeAndre Swift, Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker. I got the best running backs in the league. Then I got Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then I got Patrick Mahomes. Who do you have? You have no one compared to me. I'm that guy. I'm the fucking motherfucking one who calls the shots now. I'm coming. I'm gonna be in the playoffs. You can fucking Kirk is so cocky. It's not cocky. It's the fucking state of affairs, gentlemen. It's the way it is. I'm sorry. It is. And Josh, congrats on the win, man. 130 is good. 130 is going to get it done against most teams in this league. Got it done against me this week. I think you and I both know. Most weeks against me, it ain't going to get it done. So congrats on the win. You're one of the top 3 teams in the league. Congrats. You're arguably the best team in the league. Let me flip it over to you. Josh Allen, best quarterback in the league. I think the RBs are starting to maybe cause some concern. But wide receivers are fucking studs. Jefferson, Waddle, Godwin, and Devonta Smith, who I dropped. Brutal. Really good situation there. Mark Andrews. This is the other team I was saying. I think I would say him and Dev, best 2 teams in the league. I personally maybe give the edge to Dev, but he's certainly right up there. And yeah, I mean, good win. I think he's 5-1 now. So he's in first in his division. I think he's tied with record Santi, but I think he way outscores Santi. So good win for Josh. 130 is a high score this week. Kind of a weird week, but yeah, congrats to Josh. And without further ado, let's get into the whoops, I'm back there. The tier list. So let's start it right off with the frauds, and I'm gonna put them in, and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Start with the worst team in the league. Summer. I'm gonna go second worst team in my opinion. Braga. I got Jack. These teams are fraudulent. I think you know what? I'll take Jack out. These two teams are so bad. They're really, really bad. They're awful. I mean, in my opinion, huge gap between them and anyone else. I mean, maybe not a huge gap between them and Jack. Oh, do I put Jack in the frauds, gentlemen? I need John here to tie break that. I mean, I know what he would say. He would say put him in the frauds, but he ain't here, so I'm not going to do it. I got Jack in my got that dog question territory. Some upside, right? I talked to Jack on the phone the other day. He said, "Stop hating on the boys. Stop hating on the boys." All right, Jack. All right, stop crying on the phone with me. You're a coworker now. I'll put you in the got that dog category. Along with some other guys I'm going to put in here. I'm going to demote Santi all the way to got that dog. Who's going to stop me? There's no one here to stop me. I'm doing it. I hate the way his roster's been playing lately. I hate the trajectory of his roster. I hate that I put him at number 1 overall. Josh talks shit about that. And then he goes out and scores like 100 or under 100 in 2 weeks in a row. What is that? Make me look like an idiot. Make me look like a jackass. So I got him there. And I think I actually got Mark below him. Personally not high on Mark's squad. Nice week from him, but personally not high on the squad. Moving into the in the hunt category, I got John and Sheriff, man. Tough to rank these guys. I think, listen, I know I was high on Sheriff's squad earlier, and I was talking about how maybe he's top 3 team. But honestly, until he gets Keenan Allen back, I'm not ready to put him above John. So I got John here. And contenders. I got Josh. I'm giving Devin the nod. I got me. My team's back. They're back. It's back, gents. Let's get into the picks, and then let's wrap it up on the Kirkcast. Sorry, boys. I've been talking so long, I'm losing my fucking breath. I don't know how these boys do it on TV. Anyways, we got 2 weeks to cover here. Can you see this? You can't see this. I'm not talking. There's no one there, Kirk. Jesus Christ. Share screen. All right, here we go. Share this bad boy. All right. Me and John obviously didn't pick fantasy last week. We're not going to be able to pick it this week either. So I don't feel like doing that. We can go over what happened 2 weeks ago. I can't even remember what the big surprises were, really. I think I was kind of an idiot for picking the Seahawks. We both had good weeks. I was 9-7. John was 10-6. I'm 1 game above him overall as of last week. This week did not go well for either of us, honestly. I think I got every game wrong in the 1 o'clock window except for the Bengals. Can't remember who they played. Couldn't believe the Niners lost the Falcons. That was stunning. And then Tua, I thought Tua was going to play. Friend goes, yeah, Tua cleared concussion protocol. Why didn't he play? What the hell? Leaving me out to dry. You know, I don't know. Not really much else going on there. I picked the Seahawks somehow. Got that one. Got lucky on this coin toss, Bills Chiefs. And that really I think is the difference in terms of saving me, because Pats beat the Browns, Colts Vikings, you know. Without those two, and this is the other coin toss. I got that one. So that really clutched up for me, Lady Luck. So yeah, that's what I've got. We did make these picks before. I know you guys are sitting there thinking, did you make the picks? Like, you didn't have a pod last week, but we did make them over text. I texted John right before actually kickoff, and we got them all in. So, you know, I think if we were cheating, we would have done better. So, yeah, you're just gonna have to trust on that one. I'll do the math later. I don't feel like doing it right now, but I don't know. Doesn't feel as fun without John here, to be honest with you. Excited to get him back, but it was fun doing the tier list and ranking myself. I can hear all of you guys going, oh God, Kirk, so on. I'm not even being biased. I'm literally not. I do think my team is better than all of yours. You can't convince me it's not. It's just I have to grit it out, right? Listen, they want me to panic, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not biased. I'm right. It just so happens that my team is the one that's 1-5 with the best roster. It just so happened. I would, if anyone else had that roster, I'd say the same thing, same situation, say the same thing. I'd say this is the best team, and they have the most handsome manager by a freaking wide margin. Yeah, there's nothing else really. I would pick these, but then I've got to switch back and forth. I don't know how that's gonna pan out on this. Trying to think of a lock of the week real quick. Can't think of anything. I'll get back to you guys in the group chat. I think that's gonna be it for me, honestly. Um, so short pod. The next time you go to the Twilight Zone or some bit, I don't know. Call it there. See you next week. John will be back. It'll be beautiful. I'll be 2-5.